Thank you so much for tuning in to the Familiar Intentions podcast. Today is a really special episode because I have my first guest. I'm really excited to introduce her to you. Her name is Charlie Shaw, and she is from the Secret Healer. She runs her own Reiki business in Perth. And yeah, like we do Reiki swaps pretty much like once a month, like I think for about like the last 6 months or so. And yeah, like the reason that I wanted to have her on was to dive into podcasts. No, not podcasts. God, I can't even speak. Um, to dive into past lives. Um, and yeah, like the reason for that is because during our Reiki healings, we have played around with past life healings with each other. So yeah, I just thought it would be a fun thing to talk about and to dive into. But first, I just want to, yeah, get Charlie to introduce herself. Hi, Charlie.
Hi, Mel. Thank you for inviting me onto your Familiar Intentions podcast. I'm so excited to be here, actually.
Thank you for being on. I yeah don't know who else I would have had as my first person, so
Oh,
thank you so much for like bearing with me because I haven't done this before.
me either, so we can be newbies together.
Exactly. Awesome. So I just wanted you to, yeah, I guess just introduce yourself to anyone who's listening and what you do and, how you got into Reiki and just healing in general. And yeah.
Well, my name's Charlie Shaw, and I work at the Secret Healer. I created Secret Healer because I've always been drawn to people. I've always been the person that people can confide in and tell their innermost secrets, really. And I noticed that that helps them to heal. So I wanted to find a better way that I could help them that would be instant, which is really kind of what led me to Reiki. Well, that and my cat Stan, but that's a different story. um, what we do at Secret Healer is um, I teach Reiki 1 and Reiki 2. We have workshops, they're quite interactive. I'm trying to make them different to the other workshops that have been before. My first one is called Journey to Self because I really feel like Reiki 1 is all about going within and healing within. And I believe that all of us have that capacity within our bodies to heal our own self. I feel like a lot of the illnesses and aches and pains and stuff that we have are related to the emotions that we store. And I think that Reiki is an amazingly gentle way to address that issue. Um, what else do we do? Oh, we do distant healing. I love distant healing. I do it a lot with Mel, actually. Um, it's amazing, actually, that you can still feel like a really strong energy of Reiki, even though you're not in the same, even in the same town or same country. Um, it just travels across time and space, so you can pretty much send Reiki to anywhere in the world, in the universe, beyond. It's amazing. We also, I went on a journey of essential oils when my children were born. Actually, my middle girl was sick a lot and she just kept getting antibiotics. And after about the sixth lot, I was like, you know what? There's something going on. So I took her off the antibiotics and I started messing around with the oils, and I really have never looked back. And probably a couple of years ago, I figured out how to actually make healing creams, and I really love making them. That is my true bliss, making the
And
bath
you're really good
bombs
at
and
it.
the creams. It's so lovely. I never used to wear moisturizer because it used to irritate my skin. And then I made mine, and I was like, oh, because you have so much left over, you just like, oh, I'll just put a blob of that on my face. I'll just put a bit more on my arms. and but it felt so nice when it was going on, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to commit to this. So I can't wait when I get up in the morning. I wash my face. It's the first thing I do. I put that face cream on, and I just think, oh, that's lovely. My skin's like velvet.
Oh, and the ones that you gave to me were amazing. Like, yeah, they just are so nice, especially like at nighttime. Like, I just feel like I wake up in the morning and my face is just like baby skin.
They're just so
So,
nourishing, aren't they? And I don't
oh,
know, my
so
skin's
good.
never felt so good, honestly.
You're a wizard, honestly, with the essential oils and
I do love
Reiki
them,
as
and
well.
yeah, the Reiki and the essential oils kind of go together because they're both like the reason that we're called secret healer is because the healing methods that we use are secret. They're secret in the way that you can't see them, but they're healing you all of the time. Like
Yeah,
from the minute essential oil touches your hands, like you're already starting the healing process. From the minute the practitioner um, takes that first position on the Reiki table, you are already in the healing process. And that's the beautiful thing is that it's just so gentle and subtle. And yet after, you just think, that feels better. It's not like you just
yeah.
took a big stack of of like rubbish off your shoulders, that you didn't really need to, it doesn't serve you anymore, so that you don't really need to hang on to. The other thing that we do, I'm really excited about this actually because it's quite cool. So I do a Reiki circle monthly, and just whoever's attuned to Reiki just comes along, and we do group healing, and it's actually a really beautiful um, experience. It's just wonderful, and everybody's got their own knowledge about all the clair senses and about past lives and Reiki, and it's just really cool to get all those people together and to, get new knowledge and practice together. And the energy in there is just alive.
I love doing group healings, like, and just even just our swaps like that we've been doing, like you just learn so much just because everyone has their own experience with not just like healing and Reiki, but just life as well. So it's yeah, you just gain so much from it. And going back to the secret healer thing, like how like Reiki and essential oils are like, it's like a secret invisible thing. I feel like it that is also a thing on like a societal level as well. Like these are such like simple ways of healing the body, but like not so many people know about it.
Yeah, it's
Like,
sometimes I'm sad about that because I think what an incredible world it would be if everybody could take care of their emotions in that way. If it was just so simple as like putting a few oils in the diffuser or wearing like a certain cream and going for regular Reiki sessions, I think what an amazing world. We would all be in touch with our higher self, and that would make it a much more fearless existence.
yeah, I totally feel that. And I definitely think if more people knew like how to do Reiki, like even just doing your Reiki one, where you just learn about like doing Reiki on yourself, and you could do it on your friends, family, plants, animals. Like
Pets.
that just adds so much to your life. Yeah, my cat was the first one that I ever did Reiki on. So
My
it just like
my
helps
old
so
cat
much.
Stan loved it.
How long ago did you have Stan?
Uh well, actually, he actually introduced me to Reiki, like inadvertently, because he was an old cat, but he had really bad arthritis. So I already was using the essential oils to ease the pains in his back. So I was using lavender and chamomile, and I was rubbing that into his spine. And then one day I was just playing around, and I felt like this push between my palms. So I cut my hands a bit more, and I could really feel like this pressure between my hands. Like it's so easy, even when you're not attuned to like feel Reiki. And I just dragged my hands cupped down his back, And I did it maybe 2 or 3 times, and he just got up and walked off. Whereas before, he'd be like, his legs would be wobbling. He'd be like trying to establish like his back legs and his bottom, But he didn't. He just got up and walked off like a kitten. And I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. And then I saw an advert to learn Reiki, and I thought maybe that's what it is. And as soon as I got there, I knew it was exactly what it was. And I gave Stan Reiki most days.
That's amazing. I love that so much that it all just comes back to your cat. And it's
Yeah,
so
and
awesome that you were
sometimes
able
things,
to help heal him.
yeah, I think we healed him, but sometimes things have just come to teach you something. And I always, whenever I looked at Stan, I always knew that that's what he came for. He came to say, you know what, you have Reiki in you,
I love
which
that
is
so
pretty cool.
much. And cats are very much, I think, messengers as well.
Oh,
I don't know if you've seen,
definitely.
like, have you seen Coraline? Like, not to divert too far off track, but like, have you seen like that kids movie Coraline? Like,
No, my son loves it, but no, I haven't watched that.
oh, there's this cat in the like, because there's like not to again not to drift off too much, but there's like basically two worlds in this movie, and the cat is the only character other than the main character who can just go between the two worlds, but it doesn't
Oh,
change, like because
that makes sense.
yeah, and I that's kind of like how I think cats just are like in real life. Like I think that they're just between worlds like all the time. So
I
so
think
cool.
so
Love
too.
cats.
Cats are pretty. I've always loved cats since I was like a little kid. We've got dogs as well, and dogs have got their own thing going on. So they're just like really loyal and like they love you more than anything that's ever loved you in your whole life. But
Yeah,
cats make
that's
you
so
work
true.
for it, man. They're just like, you know
Yeah.
what? If you want a piece of me, you're gonna have to give me something that I really like. And you're just like,
Yeah, yeah,
really? But I'll take
exactly.
the challenge.
Yeah, dogs are very good for the ego or bad for it. I don't
Yeah.
know.
They're just like, oh, did you shout at me? I didn't notice.
Yeah, yeah, I still love you.
Yeah, the cat's like, well, I'm not sure. I'm like reaffirming our whole relationship here now.
Yeah. Oh,
They're
well,
complicated.
so going on to back onto the past life topic. Yeah, like I said, we both have played around with past life readings for each other during our Reiki sessions. Um, and yeah, like I guess like we mainly just want to have like a conversation about past lives, and hopefully whoever's listening can take something from it for their own practice. That's kind of like the intention behind my podcast, I guess, is to just kind of help people think about spirituality in different ways. So yeah, like what our past lives? Let's dive into that a little bit, and I guess like our personal beliefs surrounding past lives.
Yeah, I think that is the thing actually is it all starts with what you believe. This sounds morbid, but what you believe happens in the end. So
Yeah.
for me, I am quite certain that once you die, you are reincarnated. Um, I'm quite firm in that belief. So for me to look at past lives, it seems logical that you will bring things from your past life into this life, which will cause some kind of a either either it will be an insane talent and gift, or it will be something that blocks you from doing certain things. So I think the whole beginning is to actually think about like where do we go after we pass, I guess.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And yeah, I personally believe that like through each life, like if you I think that there are lessons that we're here to learn. And
Yeah.
I believe that if we don't learn those lessons in our current life, we will reincarnate again to until we learn it. And I think like personally, I believe that like we are all souls, unique souls with different like missions, I guess, and personalities and likes and dislikes. And as we, I guess, like reincarnate and go on and on, while we might be different people at the end of the day, we still, at our core, are the same soul, I guess. So yeah, I agree with you. It definitely comes down to like what you personally believe in, like, you know, with life, like whether this is our one and only life and then everything goes black afterwards, or if you believe that yeah, there's like many lives. But yeah, personally, like I feel like you probably had the same thing where you've been called an old soul by people before. And like for anyone listening to this, that generally, like if someone says that, that kind of means that you, like, this isn't your, like your first life. It's kind of like
Rodeo.
you've been around for ages. Yeah, your first rodeo. So you've been like around, living on this floating rock for quite a while. But yeah, so what I like, so now that we've covered like past lives and like what they are and what we think they are, why the hell would you want to explore that? Like, why would you want to dive into
Oh, all right. So if I'm going from my Reiki swap experience, I'm going to tell you because it's just fun. It is so
that?
exciting to do a past life reading on someone with Reiki and to talk about it after and to know that what was in your head was also in their head.
Yeah.
So when it is in their head, though, it's actually dissolving that block that the past life, that the problem was caused by in the past life. So actually, by accessing that past life, you can start to dissolve the block. And it's actually really cool. There's all different ways that you can explore your past lives, but I feel like Reiki is particularly effective because it's quite an immersive experience for both the practitioner and the lovely soul that's on the table, you know. Um, and I think that I don't know. It's kind of a surreal experience, but like it's a really lovely thing to do.
Yeah, I totally
How
agree.
do you feel like it's helped you?
I think it's definitely that I guess confirmation, like even though like when you, I think you dive into your past lives, um you obviously like don't really remember like all of it. Like otherwise you
You
wouldn't be diving
recognize
into it.
triggers though as you
Yeah,
go through life,
100%.
don't you think that?
Yeah, 100%. And I think like when you, like with my experience, like when we've been doing it, things have come up, and it's just really fascinating how when they come up and someone says something like you know, when you say, um, you know, like this XYZ happened and I see this and that, and it doesn't feel foreign. Do you know what I mean? Like it feels like it actually happened. And it
Familiar.
just kind of feels like yeah, familiar, very familiar. um, and it's funny when you start to like unpack the situation that I guess the practitioner is seeing, um, because that's kind of where you see, oh, okay, well that's the lesson in this. Like you can, for example, I don't want to go too much into like my personal past lives, but I think the last one that we did, I was you were seeing me as like a scuba diver, and you
Oh, I
basically saw my death.
remember.
Yeah, yeah, and like basically I was just swimming and swimming and swimming, and I drowned, I think. And we came to the conclusion that it was because I was just so like infatuated with what I was seeing that I just stopped looking at my air tank, and how much air was left. And I just did not have enough time to get to the top. Or I think I got like
You had the bends.
compression. Yeah, the bends. That's right. And
Yeah, I
then that's
remember
what
that
caused it.
actually.
So yeah, I guess like it's very fascinating when you start diving into it, and then you get, like, no pun intended, diving into it. But you you end up, like, I guess, finding a lesson in it. So for me, that's kind of, I guess, that was, for me, was a lesson at the time to kind of slow down a little bit more and to be um like more mindful of um like everything, and not, how do I put it, like, not let allow myself to get so caught up in things sometimes. That's just an example, but
That's
um
a good example, but
yeah.
I just want to touch on that actually because now you have sort of delved into your past life. Um, the whole scuba diving thing is actually very relevant to you because you are in love with the ocean. And so,
Yeah.
like diving and the ocean. And so, is that what the big pull is? Is that why you needed to explore that past life? Because now you are starting to venture into the ocean again. So, is that your soul saying to you, like, I think it's wonderful that you're doing this, but remember, don't lose track of time,
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
about, yeah, like, still be aware of what's going on around you. Don't get so caught up in all of that beauty that you can't actually, get back to where you need to.
That actually does make a lot of sense as well, because like, when I did first start or getting back into it, like, I wasn't really like into snorkeling so much. I had done it when I was a kid, but a couple of years ago is when I bought a new set, like a snorkel and fins, and I started going out on my own. I only went out a couple times. I went to like Medham's Pool with my friend once, and then after that I went, I think, a couple times by myself, and then I went to Point Perrin by myself.
I
And
love
I,
it there.
like, oh, same, like, I didn't tell anyone where I was going though, and I, like, had didn't have any like kind of awareness of um like, the fact that I was going into the ocean, like, by myself, not telling anyone where I was going, like that kind of a thing. I was just kind of like, I just want to get in the water. And it was autumn. There was not really many people there, and I was only there for like 5 minutes, and I got about 20 meters out, and there, like, I saw like a 2 meter shark. I don't know if I've told you this,
No.
but
Oh my
like,
goodness.
yeah, it was massive. Like, I at first, like, I thought it was a dolphin, like, because it was just this gray figure,
Did you have a
and
lot of
I've swum
dolphins
with
there?
dolphins. Yeah, and I've swum with them before, and like, I wasn't fully looking at it. Like, I just saw like a gray shape in the corner of my eye, and in a split second I was like, if it's a dolphin, like, it's all good, like, it's gonna be fun. Like, don't freak out just yet. And I turned my head, and it was like quite close to me, maybe like just roughly about maybe 5 meters or closer, like, to me.
Ooh.
And yeah, I turned my head, and it was like a 2 meter shark. And I, like, just flipped it. Like, I just, like, legged it straight back to the shore.
Oh my
um
goodness.
but yeah, like that, not to, like, again, delve off too much away from the topic, but yeah, like, I think I
That was nearly
do.
one of your past lives.
Yeah, yeah. um yeah, like, now, like, it definitely made me think about, you know um yeah, gave me a bit more of like an awareness of the ocean a little bit more, and like thinking before I go out, and like, you know learning to, like,
Telling people.
recognize. Yeah, that too, and like learning to recognize, like different sharks and stuff in case I did see another one. But yeah, like, that's yeah, like,
The
another
cool
thing, I
thing
just
is,
get very
though,
infatuated.
that your intuition is still really strong. So you intuitively you knew, like, oh, like I'm in a bit of trouble here. I need to
Yeah.
move pretty sharpish.
Yeah.
So that's
Honestly,
good.
like, yeah, 100%. Like later that day, because I checked the Smart Shark Smart app, and I think a few hours later there was it was like I think it was like a 5 or 6 meter great white. Like it was like something massive, like a big old great white was like
Oh my
right where
goodness.
I was. So,
I've
um,
definitely got a past life thing in the ocean because it terrifies me, but I don't wish to fix anything with that.
yeah, it can stay forgotten. That one.
Yeah, I'm all good with it. I'm sure I've got bigger fish to fry.
um, Another thing I wanted to go into was I think you mentioned it before, was like how um what are the different ways that people can access their past lives, like other than
Oh, well,
Reiki, because we've already been diving into that
well,
one.
there's quite a few ways actually. So I do hypnosis. So you can be hypnotized to go back to a time. Um, Timeline therapy. That's a very good way to observe without actually revisiting. So you just go back and sort of review the event, but you don't get too attached, and then you can come back and it dissolves something.
Is that
Uh,
through hypnosis? That one?
yeah, so I'm gonna have to get all technical now, but
That's okay.
the thing is, we only actually use 90% of our brain, you know. No, we don't. We use 10%. Sorry, 10% of our brain is conscious, but 90% of our brain is unconscious. And the idea with hypnotherapy, which is sort of similar to Reiki actually, because you do require that person to be in that relaxed trance state, um, much the same as hypnosis. And the reason why that's so important is because that's actually where we do all the healing, is in the
Yeah.
unconscious. But the unconscious, I've got to tell you, is pretty. It's a pretty sophisticated piece of equipment for the human body, really, because well, you can access your past lives through your unconscious. You can access like your Akashic records through a meditation, and they all work in the same way. So they all work when you're relaxed and in a trance state. You can do it with a practitioner, or you can do it by yourself. I've done some YouTube ones before that have been pretty helpful. It's just finding the right way that you want to do it. That's what it
Yeah.
is. With past lives, I think that Reiki is the nicest way to explore past lives because you don't feel like you're by yourself. Um, Reiki is it's like a soft embrace from the universe, isn't it? That whispers, "I've got you."
Yeah.
you know. So that's why that's my preferred method. But I would say that there's probably methods that I've never even heard of uh, to access past lives. I mean, the shamanic journeys are pretty full on, and that like there's all sorts of stuff.
I actually looked into like past life regressions, and I found a lady here in Bunbury who does them as well. Because I was like,
Kinesiology, sorry.
oh yeah, kinesiology is really good as well, apparently. But like I was watching this girl on YouTube, and she was talking about how she was just really fascinated with past life regressions. And she went and did one, and she showed like video of herself during it, and um, she was, I don't even know if she was like a very spiritual person or not, but she was like amazed with what she got from it. She in the video she's like crying like during the hypnosis because she's remembering her past like family, her children and everything. And I just find it extremely just fascinating. But I guess like that's the thing with Reiki, how it's so soothing as well. Like you're probably less likely, I think, like I haven't done a past life regression myself, but I think during a Reiki session it would be a lot more um like you're more in more of like a like because you get like the energy healing on top of that. Like it can be
Yeah, I feel like that kind of puts you in a little protective bubble, the Reiki energy. It sort of surrounds you and offers you a safe place to review that.
yeah, yeah. No, I totally agree. I
Can I tell you a story
it
actually? I
was
just thought of something when I was sitting there. So a long, long
yeah,
time ago, I already sort of naturally believed in reincarnation. I'm not really sure why. I'm guessing that it is connected to a past life because I've lived in India in a past life. I've already explored that. But I remember reading, it was a Reader's Digest, and I never really read them, but there was this thing about, do you believe in reincarnation? I was like, do I believe in reincarnation? I think I do. So I read the thing, and it was actually what sort of made me go, yep, that's exactly how it is. So it was about this 12-year-old girl in India and they arrange marriages in the villages in India. And some of the villages, they never leave their village to go to another village. They're like really tiny little pockets of people, like all over India. So this 12-year-old girl, she's never left her village. And she gets to 12, and the dad says, I've arranged for you to marry the boy down the road. And she's like, well, I can't really marry him though. And he's like, what? And she's like, no, I can't really marry him. And he was like, well, you have to because like I spoke to his father and we made a deal. And she was like,
yeah,
but I'm already married. Anyway, so this caused like a big hoo ha. But she was really like emphatic that yes, she was already married. So they got someone in to do this past life regression on her. And it turned out that she lived in another village, which was like something like 100K away from where she was. Um, and she died in childbirth at 12. And the husband had never remarried because he loved her so much. And the daughter looked exactly like her. And the reason that they found out was because they did this past life regression and it was really interesting. But one of the people that was visiting that place at the time was actually like a researcher and he was just researching other stuff. But then he was so caught up with this past life stuff that he was like, wow, that's pretty amazing. I'm going to find out if it's true. So he traveled to that 100K to that village and turned out her husband still lived there. He never remarried. He met her daughter. And it was just like, for me, I was just like, yep, that's exactly how I think it all goes.
that's amazing. And there's so many stories that are like that as well. Like I think I can't remember if it was you that was telling me about like um the like a little kid like was describing like where they had like a car accident or something like that.
Yeah.
Um
Yeah. See, kids have
yeah.
got it naturally. I mean, you get like to a certain age and you're looking for it. You like trying to get back your authentic self. But the beautiful thing about kids is they're just born like that and they just don't even question, is it real? Is it not real? Like it's just what it is. And then you get to about 7 or 8 and everybody's like, oh, have you got a wild imagination? And then you're thinking, I'll shut it down. you
Yeah.
know, which is really sad because then you get to adulthood and you have to start it all up again. It's even
Yeah.
harder.
Yeah, literally. And then you're like, am I crazy? Like
Yeah, yeah, then you do doubt it because you're thinking, well, but I remember as a kid, like, I remember like skipping home and thinking, like, nothing can touch me. Everything's going to be fine. And then if something was going on, like, I remember we got burgled once. And, all day I had this, like a icky feeling. Like, just, I can't really describe it, but I get it every time something bad is going to happen. And I think
yeah.
I was like about 7 and we went home and I kept saying to my mom, I feel really weird. And she's like, oh, you are a really weird child. And then we got to the house and I saw someone in our bedroom window walk past the window and I was like, there's someone in our house. And she's like, "Oh, you've got such a wild imagination." And there was actually someone in their house. They were like robbing us. So, but
Oh my
I never
god.
questioned it. Like, I questioned why she didn't believe me, but I never questioned like whether I was right or not because I just was.
Yeah, and that's the thing with intuition as well. It's very like clear and like you don't really question it. Like it's just knowing.
And then you shut it down for a bit, and then you realize that actually you need that.
Yeah.
Like, you need to have that intuition in life so that you do know, like, you don't know exactly what's around the corner, but so that you do know, like,
Yeah.
yeah. So you
We
are
need
like
our
in
sixth
touch.
sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I
I
think it's
think
important.
as well like that I guess yeah, coming back to that like society and like secret healing um like our intuition is definitely not nurtured within the system, I don't think. Just because yeah,
Isn't that the
anything
biggest
that like
secret?
yeah, and like anything I think these days, like if you know science can't physically measure it, then it doesn't exist. But I think we forget that science has only come so far. Like just because you know science can measure it doesn't mean that it's the only thing that exists. So yeah, we're
Even
definitely not at
science
the
is
peak
coming
of our
round to Reiki
knowledge.
these days.
Yeah, yeah, that's so true. I can't remember what book it was, but someone was telling me that in like a can't remember if I remember what the book is. I'll put it in the description. Um, but they were talking about how there's actually like an electromagnetic frequency emitted um, from the hands during Reiki sessions, and especially from the dominant hand of the healer. Um, so yeah, like it's really fascinating like how much science is actually coming out about it now. I guess that's also why Reiki is in hospitals. I know it's in one of the hospitals in Perth. They have like a volunteer program running. Um
Oh,
and
really?
yeah, yeah. I can't
Hmm.
remember for the life of me which hospital it was, but yeah, there's a volunteer program at one of them.
Honestly, a few months ago, I had surgery and I was like training for my Reiki masters. And I was so worried because I've never really been in hospital apart from to have my children. And I just did Reiki like a couple of days before, and then I sent it distantly to myself for the next day. And then I went into the actual hospital to have the procedure, and I did Reiki because I was bored actually. I was just sitting there for hours with nothing to do, and I thought, well, just do Reiki. So I did Reiki on myself, and I must have fell asleep because the next thing the nurse is tapping me on the shoulder and saying, "Mrs. Shaw, we're ready to put you under the anaesthetic now." I was like, "Oh, okay." And I was so like, I'm so terrified of needles. But I went in there, and the guy was like, "Right, I'm gonna put this anaesthetic in the back of your hand, and it's going to sting a little bit." And I was like, "Yeah, yeah." And I just blocked it out of my mind. I don't actually remember going under. And when I came out, I felt fantastic when I came out of the anesthetic. I was just really hungry. So I ate my sandwich and stuff. And then I went home and I was in a really good mood. And then I did Reiki on myself for the probably the next 3 days. And all the pain was gone. And I was just like, wow, that. And I went to see my doctor as well, and she was like, "How are you feeling? Like, has it been difficult?" And I was like, "No, I actually feel amazing." She was like, "Wow, like people usually take a lot longer to heal." I was like, "No, I feel like I got my life back."
Yeah. That's so good.
so, so I think it has definitely got a place in hospitals because I think if you're positive when you go under the anesthetic, when you go in there with that mindset, like everything's going to be fine, like it's going to be fixed. I feel like that's actually what promotes the healing. And when you
Yeah.
go in there and you're scared, you're all tensed up and your whole, like your conscience actually feels bigger than your unconscious because your conscience is like your ego and it's shouting at you, you need to be scared. Like this
Yeah.
could go wrong. And then there's just that quiet place inside of you that's going, why don't you just have a little faith? And just
Yeah.
calm yourself down a little bit and just sit in the unconscious and let that take care of you. And that is so powerful for healing. I've never known anything. I've got goosebumps just telling you, but I've never known anything that has ever made me feel like that. You know,
Yeah.
I was scared of everything. Like, I'm scared of the dentist. I'm scared of having needles. I'm scared of getting run over.
I
I'm scared of everything. But but the Reiki just puts me in a place where I just go, you know what? Everything's going to be okay. It's going to be fine. So
I
if you do that
agree.
in a hospital and you got someone who's going to have a heart bypass or, you know, something like that, if you put them in that best state, like how good is their recovery going to be?
Exactly. Like I think your immune system is just naturally just gonna have a head start because it's not gonna be working so much on like dissolving the fear that you have. Um, like
Yeah,
stress
and
is
I
like a
feel like
big thing.
yeah, I feel like stress is a big thing. And I feel like when you're a kid, the body sort of rules the mind. And then somewhere midway through life, you do like a switch. And so your mind tells your body that you shouldn't do that because it's scary. And I
Yeah.
think that what happens when you do Reiki is you kind of switch it back again. And so the body's in charge. When
Yeah.
the body's in charge instead of the mind, that's when stuff starts to happen. And that's because of the unconscious in the brain. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
100%. It definitely makes you
I
much more
found the volume.
present.
Sorry.
No, you're good. um yeah, it definitely it makes you a lot more present, like much more in the moment and in your body, and not so much like making up scenarios um in the future. It definitely allows you to just like even forget about time as well. That's what's really awesome about Reiki is just it allows you to have a moment for yourself and your growth and your healing and relaxation. And it allows
Yeah.
you to just tune everything out. It's
Yeah, I
really
think it's
really
pretty
cool.
amazing. Uh,
Anything else?
One of the questions that you asked me is what can you learn from past lives? So I think that you can learn that sometimes we have um, traits in our personality that don't truly resonate with us. So I feel like that is sometimes, if you're uncomfortable with it, sometimes that's connected to a past life. And so if you go in and delve around a little bit, you can dissolve that blockage, and that can help you to grow.
Yeah.
I I, I do believe that life is a series of lessons, and I also believe that the universe is really cool. If you don't learn that lesson, they just keep throwing it back at you like a boomerang until you
Yeah.
get it. And then you go, okay, all right.
Yeah, 100%. Like I definitely think like if you avoid things like and as well like not just past lives but like current it's the same like with your current life, like if you avoid certain things like and you don't face things head on, it will present itself in a completely different situation, whether that's a person or a
Yeah, different
experience,
way, same
place.
lesson.
Yeah, exactly. So I definitely think that lessons that you'll find yourself repeating in this current life are also lessons that you've possibly repeated in other lives.
Yeah, I believe that.
So yeah, I feel like we've covered it pretty good, to be honest. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what else to add. I think we've like done it some justice. um, but yeah, like I guess like we'll wrap things up here. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks
How
so
can
much for
people?
inviting me.
Oh, anytime. Like I'll have you on again if you want. Like I could talk with you for ages about things. Like, and we do every time we have our Reiki swaps. So But I'll have all of your social media links in the description. But what is the best place for people to contact you if they want to do a Reiki course or Reiki session?
Well, I have a really beautiful website. I'm quite proud of it actually. And that's thesecrethealer.net. And everything is on there really. If you want to call me, I provide a phone number on there. You can catch me on Facebook or Instagram. I'm sometimes on Twitter. I'm not very good at TikTok, but I give it a go. Snapchat, same, try, but technology's like a big blockage for me. I'm not sure that's a past life.
Honestly, same. But for me, I think it's more avoidant. I just try not to look at it sometimes.
we we're always quite responsive, so if you've got anything that you want to ask, you can just drop us a line. If you want to do one-on-one Reiki, whatever you want, consider it like with Reiki, we can do that.
Awesome. And also just a reminder that Charlie is based in Perth. So you can go and see her in person in Perth or through distance as well. So you don't actually have to be in Perth. But yeah, for
But I
those of
do
you who
have a
are,
really beautiful Reiki hub in Armadale if you do want to come in person.
she actually does, like, it looks amazing. If you have a look on
It is
her like
beautiful, that
Facebook and
energy in
everything,
there.
and just your energy as well. Like, I can speak firsthand from your sessions. Like, you are an amazing healer, and I always like walk away, like whether that's physically or online,
Thank
from
you.
our
I think that
sessions,
feeling's
like really well. Like,
that's
you've just
definitely
got such a very
mutual.
warm energy. Oh, thank you.
I always feel really grateful that we like cross paths actually because I get a lot from our friendship, so like it means a lot to me.
Oh, same here. Like, I've just like gained so much, like, from, yeah, just not just our sessions but our chats about everything. um yeah, I
And I
am
think
very
everybody
grateful for
can
you.
feel the Reiki love we're throwing out there right now.
Yeah. I hope everyone feels very healed from this conversation. Oh, but thank you so much again for coming on. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you
And
for
yeah.
inviting me. It's been a pleasure.
Well, and also to our listeners, thank you very much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. And yeah, once again,
We
Charlie's
hope to
links
meet
will
you.
be in the description. Oh yes, 100%. Thank you
You
so
have a
much
great
again.
day.
You too. Bye.
Bye.